Okay, folks. So I just wanted to share some more information about all this water conservation and crap going on here in southern Nevada and Henderson. It's just I don't even know where to really even start with this video. I mean, it seems like a lot of people around here, in particular people that are in positions to influence policy, uh, either they're just ignorant to independent research and they're just going along with the flow because they're getting a paycheck, which is most likely that's my opinion anyway, but or they're knowingly going along with all of this stuff going on here with some of these water policies. I mean, they're ultimately attempting to control our water resource. And I understand how it works here in southern Nevada. Everything that runs off of the road and, ends up in Lake Mead, so to speak. And then they recycle everything that comes out of that we use too. So, if you got people that are on certain medications and stuff like that, they've, found traces of people's drugs and medications and pharmaceuticals in our water supply. I mean, they've just totally trashed out our water supply out here, and I believe it began decades ago. You know, they chose to reinforce our water reservoirs, our natural water reservoirs that used to provide really nice, nicely filtered water. They emptied out all those basins and those reservoirs and allowed them to dry up so that they could go in and reinforce the walls and the holes and just use the natural hole for a bunker or some shit. I believe they've done that all through the Southwest out here. So naturally, they don't want any water that rains down or any water that comes down into our environment to wash down and threaten any of their installations, right? So they have it all redirected into these flood channels, and all these flood channels go to these big reservoirs and stuff like that. So everything washes down. And with some of the stuff they're implementing here with green spaces and having everybody remove our green spaces and useless grass, as they call it, they literally call it useless grass on their websites. Okay. Useless grass removal. Assembly Bill 356 is aimed at increasing efficient water use throughout southern Nevada. So they're dictating how we use our water ultimately. It's a resource. It's a water resource. It's a precious resource. Useless grass is illegal. And I got to wonder if some of these people that work in our conservation department are just truly ignorant and they just don't want to take the time to research some of these other areas where these policies and things have been implemented. Places in California and even Colorado and Utah. It's like even with artificial turf, what they call non-functional turf removal and all this stuff. I mean, they're attempting to regulate all of this stuff on a level that at it to my opinion, yeah, that makes sense. In my opinion, to me, it seems like it's just too far. You know what I mean? They offer waivers and there's all this stuff concerning dictating how and what we can use. Oh, for pet relief area, grass at a property providing commercial and retail services for pets, such as veterinarian and boarding facilities, area must not exceed 200 square feet. Who the hell are you to dictate that? You know what I mean? These people here in Southern Nevada in the city of Henderson are just following along lock, step, bait and trigger, hook, line, and sinker with what California and other places have done. And look at where it's gotten. Some of those places are so much worse off now at this point because they've already suffered the adverse effects like weather whiplash and flash drought and flash flooding that causes land subsidence and houses to slide down and mudslides and all of that shit. That's what's coming here to Henderson, folks. If we continue to allow them to dictate this kind of stuff and then offer rebate programs, okay, you can save money and conserve water. They have all of these grants and all of this stuff that's been given to them and tools at their disposal that they are just abusing, in my opinion. And they're telling us exactly what we can use. Authorization to proceed before removing any turf, customer must have applied and been approved for the Southern Nevada Water Smart Landscapes Program. Water Smart Landscapes Program. Any of this Water Smart stuff is just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And we're headed down the same road as what a lot of other places like California and places around us have already been to. And we're headed for more weather whiplash. We're headed for more flash flooding because when you take out your green spaces or this useless grass, as they refer to it, when you take out all of these sponges and all of this water wicking and water retaining medium and material, you facilitate drought. Okay. The whole point of water conservation is to help us with a drought situation and a water shortage, right? We don't want to use too much water on these ornamental grasses and greens and all of that stuff. So we need to remove it and we need to replace it with drought resistant stuff, medium, right? Which I did these people even look up any of this stuff on using drought resistant and drought tolerant planting? Because drought tolerant plants and drought resistant plants don't photosynthesize the same way as other plants do. It will decrease our air quality even here. and then you have this watering schedule. I mean, look at it's a pretty large swath on who has to, what days you're allowed to water, landscape material restrictions. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating because I'm sitting here and I'm watching them. I'm seeing them remove more and more grasses and green spaces and replace it with these drought resistant plants. And trying to talk to people in charge of all of this stuff is very difficult. And I made a phone call earlier today and talked to somebody from the conservation, you know, my session time. I didn't have a session. I wasn't aware I had a session, but anyway, I did talk to somebody from the conservation department. It wasn't very helpful. I mean, my first question, really, what I was trying to get at was trying to find information on whether or not the city of Henderson and the conservation department in the Southern Nevada Water District and Water Authority is communicating any information that's being collected as far as data sets concerning our atmosphere and forever chemicals and all of that stuff that's down here at ground level, whether or not they're communicating that with the NWS, with the National Weather Service, or with NOAA. Because ultimately, this whole thing with putting us on watering schedules, having us remove certain things, and only being allowed to, removing our green spaces and only being allowed to water in certain areas at certain times, this is part of weather modification as well. And somebody can try to debate with me and argue with me on that all that they want, but the science supports my findings. The science supports my so-called opinion. Okay, because when you take a large area like this, such as the city of Henderson, and you have this whole thing here that's got controlled days when we're allowed to use water, when we're allowed to contribute to the atmospheric conditions by adding vapors and adding water and adding moisture into our environment here. That's information that should be communicated with the NWS and with NOAA. And if it isn't, then someone's dropping the ball on the science, as far as I'm concerned. And if it is being communicated with the National Weather Service and with NOAA, how much of it is related to geoengineering? How much of this is actually directly related to geoengineering, a massive geoengineering projects that are going on, more so rather than, for our protection to keep us from wanting, oh my goodness, I can't talk, sorry, from to keep us from running out of water and just wasting our water and all of this stuff. That's what they claim, that they're implementing this so that we don't run out of water. But how much of this and how many of these different policies and these agendas and things that they're putting forward, even issuing water conservation awards to people contributing to it and participating and going along with it, you know, how much of this is being communicated with the National Weather Service and with NOAA and is associated with geoengineering projects that's going on that people are unknowingly contributing to, unknowingly participating, you know, in massive geoengineering project. Because when you have, like I said, because I'm repetitive, I got to say it again, when you have a large area like this, and you dictate how much moisture is allowed to go in each one of these different sectors and sections, then you ultimately dictate the amount of moisture being contributed to our atmosphere, which you then is influencing our upper atmosphere, which is then influencing our weather patterns over an extended period of time. Tell me the science is not there to support that. And that's really what I had called the conservation department for, was to find out whether or not they're communicating any data or any records or any communications with this, whole watering schedule and all these smart meters and everything. Oh, don't worry, you don't even have to worry about, watering on a day that you're not allowed to water, because we got these smart meters and these timers that'll do it for you. That'll be set for exactly for when you're allowed to water. So tell me that isn't climate control right there at that level that people and homeowners and property owners are participating in. And are they doing it knowingly? You know what I mean? Are they unknowingly participating in a very massive geoengineering project that is taking all of these little sectors and all of these little sections into account? Is the NWS and NOAA receiving communications and data sets from the city of Henderson and the Southern Nevada Water Authority concerning geoengineering and weather modification? And are we actively, unknowingly participating in a massive geoengineering project? Which, in my opinion, if we continue to remove all of our green spaces and replacing them with drought resistant plants, I predict, we'll have more weather whiplash. We will have more flash flooding, flash drought conditions where it's so extreme that people will have no choice but to take notice. And that's ultimately what they want, because if more people take notice to it, then they can start following the mainstream media, which is pitching all of this global warming, climate change stuff, while they're pointing the fingers at the residents here. The residents have to adjust our comfort and our way of living and get rid of our useless grass. And they're making grass illegal. If we have to go through all of that, I mean, I'm so flustered about it. I lost track of where I was even going. Where was I going with that? Something to do with weather modification. If they're not taking all of that into account, then they're dropping the ball on the science and they're letting us down, because they are going to create worse conditions here. Like, okay, that's what I was talking about. Hello, I'm back at you. Yeah, flash floods, flash drought, sinkholes, mudslides, everything that California has been going through for the last 3 to 4 decades, and other areas as well around, not just in this country, around the world. Okay, these types of manipulations and alters in just a small area environment like this that is this close to our water table will absolutely destroy our water quality even more and our air quality. Okay, all of that's coming for the city of Henderson if they continue to follow these policies, removing our green spaces. And you know what? Here's the thing, they talk about how we have to watch our water and all of that stuff, and we have to remove all of our grass and all of these filters and sponges and all of that because it all goes into, why wouldn't they, instead of replacing all of our green spaces and all of these natural filtration systems that filter out impurities and including forever chemicals, which I think is interesting. I'll get sidetracked at some point. I wanted to share a letter that was submitted, the supporting materials for the last meetings for the Southern Nevada Water District. But, why didn't they start looking into and researching more? And how much time was spent researching into plant life and rooting systems that actually help to filter water and filter the impurities? There are plants out there that are tolerant to that kind of stuff and will actually convert it into something that's usable for us. And instead they're just going down the wrong road as far as I'm concerned, and we're going to end up worse off than ever. But I thought that it was curious in these meetings here for the Southern Nevada Water Authority Board of Directors. Their last meeting they had on March 21st. They're having another one on the 29th, which the character named Vince that I spoke to from the conservation department had hipped me to, so to speak. On the next meeting is coming up on the 29th, and I want to try to do that. I can't say that I will, but I'd like to think that I would like to take time and get on a little Zoom and just voice my opinion about some of these policies and stuff. But somebody has already submitted information to them about forever chemicals and different things being put. And this here is like all grant monies. Okay. This is, there's a lot of money involved in this whole green agenda thing that's going on. And uh, yeah. Oh yeah. Water. Here it is. Water Fairness Coalition submitted this to the public comment notes, and they're asking for an abeyance until such time that material standards for the use of artificial turf are established by Clark County and municipalities, as is a standard practice for materials used in construction. And they're going through and replacing all of this nice green natural stuff with all this artificial new age shit that's made out of all this new age materials. It hasn't been around long enough to really assess what long-term exposure is, but we already know what short-term is for a lot of this stuff. And in this statement here that this public comment, they wrote that studies show that there are serious problems with materials used in artificial turf that contain forever chemicals. Documents were provided at the last meeting and were saved as backup as part of the minutes. Now, these people are providing them with information right from the EPA concerning the toxicity of using artificial turfs and stuff like that. And I've seen a few people around us here in our neighborhood that have actually replaced their grass with some artificial turf of some kind. But, even that's a big concern too, of course. And when you tie into the fact that they're doing the cloud seeding, where they're injecting all of these surfactants and forever chemicals into our upper atmosphere, and it's settling down here at ground level, it just seems like it would make more sense to me to have more green spaces and more natural filtration spaces that could help filter out some of those forever chemicals even. And I just don't get the direction that our water conservation department is doing. And they have all of this stuff available for reporting water waste and report people for water waste and stuff like that. And it's just supposed to be able to request this information, anonymously. And they're kind of giving me the runaround on it. But I definitely would like to check into the meeting that they're supposed to be having, because they're supposed to be having another meeting on the 29th. And I don't know, I'd like to try to get in on the meeting and just submit some of the information that I have, in my opinion anyway, at least inject my opinion into the situation on all of these policies and stuff. And we're supposed to believe that we're in a water shortage, right? But everywhere that I go, I'm seeing newer housing being built everywhere. There's new houses being built everywhere, all the way around us, thousands of new homes. And every time that I see a new construction zone going on and new houses being built, I wonder to myself, where are they going to get their water from? Because we're supposed to be in such a water shortage that the Southern Nevada Water Authority, has to put in all of these implement all of these policies and all of this bullshit that takes away our green spaces. It takes away our filters. It takes away um, our trees and our plants and our green spaces that provide us a better air quality. I mean, do these people even realize that those types of things don't photosynthesize the same way and they won't filter groundwater the same way as well? I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing too many signs that would suggest that this whole declaration of the emergency was just a way for them to gain further control of a precious resource out here in Southern Nevada, and not necessarily for the greater good, but for control, so that they can control more of it. And here's yet another this used to be completely empty, and there's just more and more houses popping up everywhere. Oh, this video too, there was this lone cloud up here, which I thought was really curious. It was just hanging out there, just kind of hovering out above over here where they're building up some new houses over by Warm Springs Road and Lake Mead. Just a lone cloud, just drifting out there, just hanging out, you know. Anyway, this video is long enough. We're at a point now here in the city of Henderson where the next steps are going to be more weather whiplash, more flash drought, more flash flooding, more of these incidences and events that, like the wildfires, dare I even say it, that they're setting us up. They are completely setting us up to fall the same exact way that many parts of California and other areas around us have already fallen. And why aren't people seeing it? More people need to see it, and they need to not be allowed to, dictate when and what days we're allowed to water, giving us a water schedule. This is absolutely ridiculous. And if they are communicating with NWS and NOAA, I want that data set. I want to make a public records request because I want all of the data and information that is being communicated between the city of Henderson and the National Weather Service and NOAA and the Climateers. And I have a right to that information, especially now since a lot of these different projects and policies and grants and rebate programs and all of the stuff that they're able to offer is coming from taxpayer grants and taxpayer dollars. Okay. Water smart landscapes, these smart meters, all of that stuff, folks. It's all just so that they can gain more control over a precious resource that they have no business controlling in such a manner. Under the guise of a water emergency, really? We're under a water emergency, but yet you want to promote a ice hockey team. You want to have the freaking Super Bowl here. You want to host the F1 here. You want to bring the freaking Oakland A's here for a baseball team. And yes, folks, if you want to curl, here in Las Vegas, we even have curling available for you, which requires an ice rink. But we have a water shortage. So make sure that you conserve, and turn your neighbors in if they waste too much water, right? Ugh, it's so frustrating. And I'm going to try to meet and get on this meeting for their next meeting here coming up on the 29th of April. I'm going to try. Not that I'll actually do it, but I would like to try. I mean, I don't know. I get all flustered and all nervous and shit when I do stuff like that. So, but anyway, yeah, that's how it's going here in Southern Nevada. They're defining what water waste is, and they've given us a watering schedule. It's just insane to me. Just insanity. Just insanity. And we're headed for bigger disasters if they don't reverse some of this now. Just saying. Thanks for watching. Know that I appreciate you and that you matter very much to me.